you guys could just turn your cameras on just so, you know, Kathy can see who she's talking to. Okay, so we'll get started in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
I see some new faces. Hi guys, my name is Kalia. I am the president. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. I hope, you know, you guys are excited to see what SBA has to offer for the semester. If you haven't met the e-board, we will introduce them at probably the next meeting anyway, but this is them right here, Courtney, Alex, Karan, Javon, and then Alyssa, who's not here, and Sam actually is a new member of our e-board, so congratulations to him. But yeah, so we're gonna get started in a few minutes, so just sit tight. If you have any questions, you guys can ask us right now. If not, we're just gonna wait for a couple more people to join and then we can go. And then Ryan's camera's not working. That's fine, Ryan. All right, so since Kathy does have to leave a bit early, we can get started. So again, everybody, welcome. This is Kathy Behrens. She is the president of social responsibility and player programs for the National Basketball Association. She is actually also a UHart alum. She's in the Hall of Fame for athletics. So we love when alumni come back. So Kathy, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you, Kalia. It's great to see you all. So let me just tell you what I want to try to do, give you all just a little sense of it, and happy to be flexible. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about kind of my path from Hartford to here. I'm actually, for the first time in a number of months, in my office today here in New York. Our office has mostly been closed, as everything else has been, but I'm here today. Tell you a little bit about sort of what our current kind of state of the NBA world is, and then leave time for some questions. So that said, if I talk about something that is, you want me to stop, raise your hand, hit the chat function. Happy to you know, pause along the way if anybody's got a question. Okay. So I have been at the NBA for 20 years. I'm a 1985 graduate of the University of Hartford, which means that I've probably worked here at the NBA longer than some of you might be alive. So it does feel like I'm old, but that's okay. I went to Hartford on a basketball and tennis scholarship. I played tennis and basketball when I was at Hartford. Had a great experience. I am an education major and thought I was going to be a teacher, but I got involved when I was at Hartford in the student government. So in addition to my athletic experience, I was also president of the Student Government Association my senior year. And I would say that that was sort of the first time that I kind of got involved in something outside of sports. So it was it was eye-opening for me and kind of gave me, frankly, both a level of experience that I'd never had before, but also a level of confidence in other things other than sports that I honestly had never really had before. So I felt like I left Hartford really prepared for what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do was get into politics and work in government. I didn't want to run for anything myself, but I had a real interest and passion for politics. And the commencement speaker, the spring that I graduated, was former Congresswoman from Connecticut named Barbara Keneally. I had a chance to talk to her, and I told her what my interest was, and she said that I should go learn how to raise money, and that would be both a great skill for me, and she thought a potential path to working in politics. So I was fortunate enough, a couple of months later, I got a job at the United Way in New York City. I'm from New York, born and raised in the Bronx. And so I was always going to come back to New York as much as I loved Hartford. And so I spent 3 years working at the United Way. And in fact, the last year I was at the United Way, I had a chance to work on some government fundraising campaigns. And so I had a chance to meet people who worked for the then governor of New York, Mario Cuomo, whose son Andrew is currently the governor, and we got along, and I had expressed some interest in working for the governor, and so I got a great job offer, and I then spent 7 years working for Mario Cuomo. Most of that time was in the government, and then I spent 2 years on a campaign and did a couple of other campaigns. So the fundraising part was definitely a big factor for me in terms of the success I had in my career in government and politics, especially. And I'm a huge political junkie still, and I'm a big believer in that experience. I think, when you work in the nonprofit space or you work in government, you have an ability to kind of get experience that you don't get in other places, just because you have to think differently. There's a level of scrutiny that I think is really helpful. There's a lack of resources, frankly, that make you have to, kind of think on your feet and be maybe more innovative and creative than you might otherwise be in the private sector. And then, but in politics, you win campaigns and you lose campaigns. I worked on a losing campaign, unfortunately. And so when the governor lost the re-election campaign, I was the executive director of the campaign committee, but we lost. And so I was fortunate, though, to get a job. I spent a couple of months helping the governor transition to private life. And then I got a job as the executive director of a nonprofit organization here in the city called New York Cares. And I was there for about 5 years or so. And we did a project with the NBA. And I'm a huge sports fan. I told you I played at Hartford, but I just, I grew up going to Knicks games with my dad at the Garden, but I never thought about a career in sports. It just sort of was not on my radar screen. But I met David Stern, the then commissioner of the NBA, at an event that we did, and developed nice relationships, and but was never thinking, I thought I'd have a career sort of in the nonprofit world, and maybe I'd go back to government at some point. But the NBA reached out to me in the summer of 2000 to see if I'd be interested in coming to work here as the vice president for community relations. And I interviewed that summer with David Stern and Adam Silver, who's now the commissioner. And it was just sort of one of those things that I couldn't turn down, and felt like it was a good opportunity for me to try something different. I'd never worked in the private sector. And now I've been here for 20 years, and they couldn't get rid of me if they tried. My job has changed a lot. The league has changed a lot in 20 years. My focus now is, I'm the president of social responsibility and player programs, promoted a couple of years ago when Adam became the commissioner. And my focus is essentially on everything that involves the players off the court. I have some involvement in some of the things that happen on the court as it relates to discipline matters, but most of my focus is really on player involvement off the court, our player partnership system. How do we work with players to help them be successful on the court and off, and then all the social impact work that we do, which on the one hand has changed a lot, because I think just, it's gotten more attention, the work that the players do and that we do in this space. But it's really, I think, been consistent in over the years that I've been here with, finding ways for our players to have the most impact in their communities, either where they're from or where they currently play, to create ways for our employees to feel like they can give back meaningfully, and then sort of make sure that wherever we go, sort of on a global basis, that our sort of values come with us. And so, we're very involved we have offices all over the world, and play games all over the world. We have players from all over the world. A quarter of our players are born outside the United States. And so, we're always trying to grow the game at the grassroots level. So we have a whole big youth basketball program called the Junior NBA. We have a program called NBA Cares, which is, really about sort of the ways that we use all of the platform that we have to try to impact our communities. And then we have player development programming, which is the work that we do to help our players transition, both transition into the NBA. Obviously, we're getting ready for a draft next week, and so we'll have a whole new crop of players that we're going to try to help transition the right way into the league. And then how do you have a successful transition out? So we really think about all the transitions that players have to do and work very closely with all of our teams. In addition to the NBA world, we have the WNBA, we have the G League, and we have the 2K League. So people think of us as just one league, but we're really 4 leagues. And in fact, we're a 5th as well. We announced last year the formation of something called the Basketball Africa League, the BAL. Unfortunately, because of COVID, that the launch of that league is on hold probably until the spring. And so that will be a year. We were hoping to launch it last March. We looked again to try to launch it this December, but we're not quite ready, I think, on a global scale to launch the BAL. So, but when it does launch, so we'll be 5 leagues. So sort of the league office, the NBA is kind of the mothership, and then we have our other leagues. We have obviously, been through, as everyone has been, just, an extraordinarily bizarre, what seems like a decade, but it's really been, I guess, 7 or 8 months. And our season, we went on hiatus last March when we had a player test positive right before a game in Oklahoma City, Rudy Gobert. And then, we spent the spring and early part of the summer trying to restart. We were able to do that successfully. We crowned a champion in the NBA with the Los Angeles Lakers on our campus in Orlando. We crowned champion in the WNBA with the Seattle Storm on the campus at IMG in Bradenton. And now we're trying to figure out how to do it again without being in a bubble. We just don't think it's something that we can do for a full season. When we went on hiatus, we were really 80% of the way finished. And so it was easy to think about a campus experience rather than try to do a full season. You saw Major League Baseball, they played a 60-game season down from what they would normally do, which is 162. And so we're thinking that way. So as we head into our, what will hopefully be the 2021 season, we're targeting a December 22nd start. Which is fast. We know that. We're still working through a lot of the details with the Players Association, the union that we have a collective bargaining agreement with for our business. But our goal is to start December 22nd, probably play a 72-game season, allows us to finish before the Olympics. If the Japan Olympics, which were postponed last summer, are held, it will take place in the summer of 21. We'd like to finish before the Tokyo Olympics and then be back on track for a normal season for 21, 22. So that's a priority. Our other priorities are health and safety for our players and team staff. I think we learned a lot on our campus about how to do that, not just through the testing, but all the things you guys are probably doing on the Hartford campus, which is, you got to wear a mask, you got to be socially distanced, you have to practice healthy hygiene, and you can't have large gatherings. So can we have fans in our buildings? We'll see. We're developing protocols for those markets where we potentially can, but our focus is going to be on the health and safety of the players while creating what we think will be world-class competition. Schedule optimization. We obviously we benefit from the fact that our teams travel privately, and so, but we don't want teams to be traveling. Our games, if you follow the NBA, the sort of our model is in and out. You go to Knicks go up to Boston and then they leave right after the game. We're probably going to create more of a little bit of a baseball model, which is you stay in the same market for and maybe play 2 games, so you cut down on the travel. We found that, frankly, cutting down on the travel on the Orlando campus made for better competition. And then just trying to maximize, frankly, the fan experience. What can we do for the fan watching at home? What can we do for the fans who might be in our building? And all of that is just innovative technology. If you watched the playoffs and finals, you know, we had these virtual fans, virtual signage. We thought all of that was really good and interesting. It's not the same. It's not the same experience for players. It's not the same experience for the fans, but it made, you know, it was definitely better than people expected. Certainly even exceeded our expectations. And then I would just say our other priority is to continue our work around social impact. We have a great partnership with our players in this area. We announced over the summer the creation of an MBA foundation, which is something new for us. And so we're really going to be focused on trying to create greater economic opportunity in the Black community. And then we just announced today the formation of a National Basketball Social Justice Coalition, and how we're going to work with our players and teams around meaningful reform in voting access and criminal justice. So we've got a lot to do, and our players, I think, continue to sort of drive really meaningful engagement in that space. So so we're looking forward to getting our season started. And I think we will in December. So so that's kind of my path a little bit. That's what we're working on right now. Happy to answer some questions. Can talk about either of those things or anything else that's on your mind.